Hi guys and dolls! Today I have a brush cleansing video for you. I know there's lots of other videos on YouTube that also are for brush cleansing, so if you want to skip this one, feel free, it won't hurt my feelings. I just want to really briefly show you guys my daily or spot cleansing method, which is well, you'll see it. And then also my deep cleaning method. Mine might differ from other videos that you've seen. One thing that I've noticed is that even though a lot of us in the community do similar things, we all kind of have our own twist on it. And also a lot of you have actually requested this video, so I'm fulfilling that request for you. Anyway, I will see you guys in my next video, which will hopefully be the big, huge eyeliner extravaganza. So if you want to find out how I keep my brushes squeaky clean, just keep watching. These are the products that I actually use to clean my brushes. I'm just going to really briefly go over what each one is. This is brush cleanser. This is from M.A.C. I've tried lots and lots of different brush cleansers, and I just found that this is the very best one. For me anyway, it really seems to get all the color out of my brushes, but I don't use it in its pure form. What I do is I mix a 50-50 ratio of purified water and the brush cleanser, and that seems to work for me really well. Then I have a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is good for cleaning synthetic brushes. Typically, brush cleanser alone just won't get all of the product out of like synthetic hairs like this. However, if you use alcohol on natural hairs, it can be very drying, so try not to use the alcohol on natural hairs if possible. And then I also have a little bit of dual phase eye makeup remover. This is the kind that you have to shake up. This is also really good for your daily eye makeup removal, but I use it when I have brushes like this one that have a lot of lipstick in them, or ones like this that have eyeliner or gel liner, to get all the color out of them, because the brush cleanser alone just isn't going to get all the product out. And I like my brushes super, super clean. Then we have, of course, dirty brushes to wash. A little bowl. I use this to dispense a little bit of the eye makeup remover so that I can just soak each brush with a little bit of it. And then we have brush guards and the little cap that goes to my Sephora IT brush. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is my daily brush cleansing. I do this pretty much every day to keep my brushes clean in between deep cleanings. I'm going to take a little bit of my 50-50 ratio of brush cleanser and water and just spray down my brush. This has quite a bit of eyeshadow in it, so I might have to do this twice. And I kind of do a combination of back and forth and little circular motions. And you'll notice it's actually pretty much all the way clean right now. Just one more time just to ensure that it is in fact clean. Then what I like to do is I kind of fold over a section of it to kind of wipe the excess moisture off the brush. And then I slip a brush guard on it. And I lay it out to dry. Now for some of these brushes, like for instance this is a synthetic brush, and you can see I have a little bit of product on it. The brush cleanser alone is not going to be enough, so what I do is I first spray it with alcohol, then I spray it with the brush cleanser, and depending on how saturated it is, sometimes I'll let it kind of just sit there and soak. And for this kind of brush I like to use kind of just the back and forth motion so that I don't fray the hairs. And then again, I squeeze it and kind of reshape it with my fingers, kind of smooth it out. Now this one I'm not going to put a brush guard on, I'm just simply going to lay it out to dry. Then we have an eyeliner brush. Now this one is completely, it's kind of like hard and stiff with having gel liner on it. So I'm going to get my little bowl, some of my makeup remover, a little bit of that in there. Swirl the brush around in the makeup remover, kind of loosen up all the stuff. Just clean it twice with the brush cleanser to make sure that you got all the excess makeup remover off of it. And again, reshape it and put it back. So yeah, that's pretty much how I wash my brushes every day. Now, recently I made a video about the brush guard, and some of you mentioned that you can actually stand your brushes up straight to dry them in a little cup. And I suppose if you were very, very, very careful, you could do something like this to ensure that all the water comes out of the brush. The only thing is that I'm worried that this will get bumped and that the brush guard will move back my brushes and then I'll get frayed hairs. So, and by the way, if that does happen and your hairs do start to fray, simply re-wet the brush. Put your brush guard back on, and then leave it flat to dry. I just prefer to leave them flat. Now for my Sephora IT brush, I'm going to take the brush cleanser water, make sure I sprayed a little bit of that on the brush. Just kind of run it back and forth. And squeeze the water out of it. Then I'm going to take this little cap thing and put it over it, and it's really cool because when it's on the way, all the way on, it clicks. A lot of you mentioned that if you were to dry this with the cap on, the moisture is definitely going to stay in there, and you're totally right. I actually normally set the brush in a little cup like this, which is very similar to what some of you said you could do with the brush guard if you're very, very careful. Don't bump it. Don't even breathe on it. Don't even look at it. Oops. Okay, so I just showed you how I wash my brushes daily. Now I'm going to show you how I deep clean them. I use a shampoo that you would use on your hair. You could use baby shampoo if you want. This is just a shampoo that didn't work out really great for me for my hair, so I figured my brushes can go ahead and get the shampoo. So I'm going to actually wash a few of my face brushes and then a couple of my eye brushes for you as well. Okay, so what I do is I turn the water on to pretty warm. That's an actual setting. No, I'm kidding. I do it kind of like warm to lukewarm. Sometimes I do hot. And I'm going to get each brush wet first, just the hairs. And you'll notice I'm trying to keep the brush as upright as possible while still getting all the hairs wet. If you don't get all the hairs wet, then they're not going to come all the way clean. So just try not to actually get any water in the ferrule. Turn the water off for now. Get a little shampoo in my hand. Get a little wetter if you have to. A little bit more shampoo. Work it into a good lather. Okay. And then before I set the brush back down, I'm just going to kind of squeeze out the excess shampoo and then set it back there. And swirl around in the soap. And as you'll see, after a while, you have so much lather on your hand that you won't actually have to add too much more soap. I mean, you will. I mean, if you were to wash all your brushes, I'm only doing a couple right now. But if you were to wash them all, you will have to add more soap and more water and things. Then what I do is I turn the water back on and start rinsing the brushes. You can kind of cup some water in your hand and kind of do this with that. You might notice that my brushes are bleeding black a little bit. So you see my brushes usually bleed black, and yes, you have to do. Because the word dye obviously always bleed a little bit black. Okay, and then when I'm done rinsing it, I kind of go down, squeezing the excess water out. I'm going to let that sit there for a minute while I rinse the rest of these brushes. Okay, now I'm going to take my towel. We'll get a clean side, even though it's stained, it is clean. And we're going to go ahead and squeeze the excess water out of the brush. And lay it down on its belly for now. Make sure that you get the handles and everything dry because water inevitably gets all over the brushes. And you don't want them to get into the ferrule of the brush. So now to set them up to dry, I like to set them so that they're kind of slightly angled down. Now for my face brushes, I typically do not put a brush guard on them. I just like them to kind of fluff up naturally. What I will do is, you'll see I'm kind of reshaping this one. and then I kind of set it so that the ferrule is slightly hanging off the edge so that the brush actually has room to expand as it dries. Same thing for my other face brushes. Kind of reshape. Some of you mentioned that your tulip style brushes like this actually lose their shape. And this is what I do, is I literally shape it and let it dry. Now with my fluffier eyeshadow brushes like this is a 224, I go ahead and put a brush guard on, and again I gently set it down so that the hairs won't get ruffled. Now this is a shader brush, and I typically don't put brush guards over this. I just set it up to dry. Now for my kabuki, squeeze all the excess water out of it. You slowly work your way down. And then I slip it in a brush guard. Very slowly and very carefully, so that the hairs don't get ruffled up. And then, voila! Within about 2 hours to overnight, these are going to be dry. Now when I spot clean them, or daily clean them as I did with these brushes, they're usually dry in about anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour because they didn't get that wet. These ones, obviously, they're going to take longer to dry because these are, you know, large powder brushes, and they were completely immersed in water. So they are going to take a bit longer to dry, but I think overall this method is good for that weekly brush cleansing, gets it all clean. Might not be completely wild or something that you haven't seen before, but this is what I do all the time. So I hope you enjoyed my brush video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!